bow pose, a standing bow pose. If you have a strap and you want to use a strap, that's great. Otherwise, you would just take one hand to the foot and hang out here. Extend right arm long. Start to kick the left leg back. Try to leave the hips nice and even. Just find a place where you can leave that left hip down and extend long. Doesn't have to be anything big. If you have a wall, definitely use the wall. It's great to be able to stretch and not worry about the balance. Last breath. And release. Shake it out a little. Big inhale, taking the arms up. Big exhale, forward fold. Come up halfway. Step or hop it back. Float straight through to chaturanga or hang out in plank. It doesn't matter. Lifting your heart to breathe in. And then coming right back, downward facing dog. Big breath in and out. Left leg, lift it up. Stack the hips, bend the knee, lift the head looking over right shoulder. And decide now, is it okay to stay here or should I come out? Or maybe flipping or side planking or something else. But living within your heart with truth, love. And now come on back. Left knee comes forward to nose. Exhale, lengthen out. Knee to nose, forward in plank. Exhale long. Knee to nose, forward in plank. Exhale long. This time knee to nose forward, but tilt towards the right as we send the left leg underneath. Checking left shoulder if it's all good. Right arm lifts. If that's all good, we play with the taps. So we take the left leg up and tap back down. 2 more times. Left leg up, tap back down. 1 more, left leg up, tap back down. Draw left knee to nose. Hover and hold as you crunch to make space to plant the foot. Drop down right knee. All right, again, start to maybe toe walk left foot forward a teeny bit, just an inch. Have your block handy. Inhale, scoop forward and lift the arms. So if you visualize what we're working on right here, it's this front right side of the hip here and a little tiny bit on the upper inner groin area. Pay attention, make sure you're not overstretching, lifting your heart. Maybe look up if that feels good. And then come on back to a neutral spine. Inhale here, exhale, prayer twist left. So again, on this side, as we prayer twist to the left, let's think about where the thumbs are right now. They're probably up into the left armpit. Nothing really wrong with that. But if you want to tweak it a little, you push into the right arm, twist with the torso. So from the belly button, push the left knee away. Big difference. Take 1 more breath. And now unfurl. Coming back up. Extend left leg long. And first, we all start in this little Hanuman stretch. Pulling left hip crease back, perfect place. Now, if you like to go, extending back so you have the inverted right leg, you can try that. You might want your block for sitting. If you're staying in this shape, pull left pinky toes back, roll the shoulders up and back, exhale, hinge forward. And if you're in the Hanuman shape, it's about the same thing. We're still pulling left hip crease back and hinging forward. Another big breath. Now, very mindful as we're paying attention to that right knee. We come back through Hanuman. Lift up, rebend left knee. We'll walk the right arm out to the right and take a super twist to the left. Again, pay attention to the right shoulder so we're not saggy. Nice big stretch. If all is good, bend the right knee. Start to draw the heel towards the hip. Okay, so you may want your block for the right side in just a moment. As we release the right leg, come back inside, and we'll stay in this kind of puffed up lizard. We're just going to drop the left knee open and lift up. Expanding the heart, pushing the floor away. And such a beautiful place to stay. Hang out for another breath or two. And now let's start walking the right arm towards the floor. So walk away. If you need the block, go ahead and rest the forearm on the block. But otherwise, rest down on the floor, twist a little left. You can start to bend the right knee, but I like to first flatten out my left foot. Then as I bend, I'm checking into my right shoulder. Did I collapse inward? Hopefully not. And if I did, I'm going to practice rebound. The idea of pushing the floor away. So I push in to lift up. And we can stay just like this. If you like to try bending the right elbow, and you kind of rest your head and look off to your left side. Everything's getting stretched here. It's a beautiful stretch. Take one more. I release everything except the left leg stays exactly as it is. Let me turn again. And we pivot the torso and the right toes up. So finding the place where you can hang out. I like a block underneath my knee. The heel is coming towards the groin. Now pulling the right toes back, hands to heart. Breathing in goodness. Recognizing anger as a part of us, but how do we respond in a benevolent manner? One more breath. Hands to floor, just kind of creepy crawl your way. We take that first little forward fold. It's just a transition more than anything. Hinge forward into the toes. Just let the body hang for half a breath. Then coming back up, hands to hips. As you lift up, pivot toes out. Interlace left thumb on top. Pop the palms way up high. Find your squat. And it's 8 little pulses up and down. So we've worked into the groin. Let's see if you can take it nice and deeply here. And if it's not feeling good today, don't go so deep. 4 or 5, I'm not sure. 6. I'll leave it up to you. 7. And that should be about 8. Lift up, pivot toes in, open your heart. Release hands behind you, left thumb on top. Shrug your shoulders, open, hinge forward. Weights going into the toes. Lift the kneecaps, let the head be heavy. And then play with the idea of lifting arms away from the sacrum. You don't ever have to do that. And if you feel any tweakiness in the shoulders, I wouldn't do it. Last little breath like that. Making your way back up. Left toes pivot out. Arms are long. Preparation for triangle pose. Reach left arm forward. Tilt down. I like to stop halfway to find my integrity, if you will, in the pose. And then go deeper as long as I can keep the shape of the pose, and that would be right shoulder not diving in. So I give myself a little mantra here, and I say twisting to the right, and that keeps my right shoulder on top of my left. So a perfect place to hang out. Drishti ideally is up to the top fingertips. If you're going to add strengthening pose, try lifting left arm. As long as this right side didn't dive in, you're good. And then try adding right arm over the ear. And that's where I really need to say to myself, twist right, so that I don't allow that right shoulder to collapse. Inhale, back up. Have your block handy for just a moment. Bend left knee, working into side angle. So maybe you start with the resting on the leg. Watch for the left knee to collapse inward. We want to keep it out. If you extend hand down, perfect. Right arm comes over the right ear, and I'm flipping that palm. Thumb up, pinky side down. Another big breath. See if you can peek underneath the right armpit. Now we move into half moon pose. So we extend block or hand, maybe 18 inches in front of your left foot. Coming into that stacking place again. Right hip on top of left, right shoulder on top of left. If you're playing with Chandra Chapa, bend the knee and give yourself this nice big kick. So ideally, again, drishti should be to the right, looking up. I wish I could say it's because of the lights that I'm not doing that, but I fall. So I'm still practicing it. Try it and see what happens with you. All right, last breath like that. And let's tilt it back. And again, we come into those parallel feet. Shoulders shrug up and back. Either take a seat for your wide angle pose or hinge forward and start to tiptoe out. If you're trying that pinky side down, pay attention to inner thighs and pay attention to your knees. And once we all make it down to the floor, pull the pinky toes back. So as usual, we'll repeat this and just take the forward fold, or you can play with lifting the legs in your forward fold. So it's less of a stretch, but you work the stabilizer muscles. It looks like this. We lift up, pulling pinky toes back. Back is nice and flat, so I'm not rolling onto my sacrum. I'm trying to stay on my sitting bones as I lift my heart up. And maybe here you go back to that little visual from the beginning of class. I visualize one of my flowers from the garden. See if you can see that image and see if that helps you to strengthen your mind of staying focused on goodness. Now, last breath like this. If you're already down, just hang out there. The rest of us will come down to a soft landing. Meet in a forward fold. Nice breath. Beautiful. And make your way back up. All right, you ready for that life extending pose? The idea is that it comes from an article I read years ago that said that people who can come from sitting to a squat and standing position without hands have a longer lifespan. So I worked hard on that to make sure I extended my lifespan. So let's try it. Just see if you can come into that squat position, hinge forward and lift up. And if not, then you'll start practicing it at home. Just taking one hand in front, one hand in back, and lifting up, and eventually you'll get to it. When we come into Upavishasana, the little sitting pose. And on this side, I'd like to play a little bit with Bakasana. So you can feel free to hang out here. This is just a perfect, beautiful place to stay. Maybe you want to work into Malasana, where you draw the feet a little closer together and take a little forward fold. But if you're playing with Bakasana, let's go for it now. So you guys who know it, just start to get into it. And remember, the idea is to feel as if you're going to do a handstand. So we do use the body to rest on, but ideally one day we'll be taking the weight off of our arms in this kind of Bakasana, working towards straighter arms and working towards heels coming to the hips. If you're new to it and you want to play, this is a perfect place to do it. You just squeeze the elbows and then push the elbows into the legs. So it's this kind of tug of war. And you have to really activate the belly. Hinge forward, keep that push-pull action, play with lifting one foot, practice the other side, and then maybe both feet come up. Just see what you've got for another about 3 breaths. And let's all make our way back into Upavishasana. And we'll take our twist to the left. Sending the right arm, we keep it in front of the right shin, off to the right, and just hinge off to the right, but look left. Now hand to heart first, we open the left knee. Again, thinking of goodness, responding with love, channeling our anger right now into something productive and good, where we remove judgment and we replace it with compassion, trying to see the other person's point of view. Lift the left arm up. Think of sending all that goodness out to the universe. We can hang out just like this, or we take our bind. So the left hand internally rotates. Come down, maybe you just leave it like that, right at the sacrum. That's fine. Maybe you extend the right arm internal rotation and hinge around. Ideally, the right arm takes hold of the left and we twist open. Now watch for that left knee. I just felt mine do it. We want to keep expanding open. Don't let it drop in. Perfect place to hang out, or we start to make our way to standing. So if you are going to come to standing, get the feet closer together. You do a little toe tap with the right toe until your left side gets used to lifting. Open up, expand the chest. Hang out for another breath or two. If you're hopping around, keep hopping. It's called the yoga dance. And then we make our way back down, nice and mindfully. Release everything. Hands to the floor, lift the hips, shake it out a little bit. Inhale to come back up, pivoting left toes, step forward. All right, last standing pose. We'll take bow pose on this side. So we bend the right knee. You can take whatever grip you like, outside, inside. Extend left arm, and then just give yourself a little kick. Try to keep that right hip down, just the way we did when we were on the floor and when we were in that standing banana pose. Find a sense of softness wherever you are. And release. All right, so if you have another vinyasa desire, go ahead and buzz through one, and we'll all meet down on the floor with extended legs. Now once you're down, shake the legs out, pull the toes back, activating the whole front side of the leg by lifting the kneecaps. It's going to allow the back side to relax. Roll shoulders up and down. Inhale here as you fill up. Exhale, hinge forward as if to take peace fingers to the big toes. Whether or not they reach doesn't matter. Wherever you are, inhale, lift halfway. And then exhale, hinge forward again. Elbows out to the side if your arms are long. Stretching the whole back side of the legs. Now breathe into that. If it's uncomfortable, maybe back out a little bit and see if you can release the discomfort and then edge your way back in nice and slowly. So there's this fine line between injury and discomfort, and I like to stay on the side of discomfort instead of injury. So oftentimes we have to back out just to see clearly. And that is the same thing with channeling our anger or just reacting to our anger. You have to back out and become the witness to see what is the anger all about. Try to pinpoint that. And Gandhi suggests taking a journal and writing it down, not to reread and get angry again, but to start to pinpoint and see the origin of the anger. More typically than not, it comes back to something like my feelings got hurt because my way wasn't met, or they don't agree with my ideas, or I got hurt, or somebody in my family got hurt. Last breath like that. Come on, back up. Walk the hands behind you, fingertips look forward, puff the chest up, point the toes if you're lifting up for Purvottanasana. Otherwise, we come into reverse table. Taking one more. All right, so grab your block. We come back up and we'll move into Virasana. We place the block at our seat. You can go long ways, so there's plenty of room. And if you can, you draw the knees together to sit up. Some of us won't want the block. We'd rather just be on the floor like this, and that's fine too. But you want to pay a lot of attention, especially if you're kind of new to this pose, to your knees. I know I've told many of you this already, but in Iyengar, in his book Light on Yoga, he talks about this pose, and he says that it is one of the best things you can do to bring health and healing to your knees if done correctly. But if done incorrectly, it can wreak havoc on the knees. And then it's very hard to find out what that means. So I did a lot of talking to Iyengar people, and this is what I was told. Push into the pinky toes. So that's called supination. You want to push down, make sure the pinky toes are reaching towards the earth, and then hug the ankles towards the hips. If you are rounding in your spine, that is, if you're sitting back on the sacrum, you need to sit up on something to make sure that the pelvis can tilt a little forward. Let's interlace any thumb on top, pop your palms up, and we'll work into 40 Kapalabhati breaths here. So take a full inhale and a full exhale. Now half an inhale, and you can do nose or mouth. If you want to cool off, do the mouth. If you want to stay heated, do the nose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, and then mindfully lift up. We'll come to kneeling. little tiny mini camel pose, really more just to allow this whole front side to open up. So hands to the hips, push the hips forward, express the front side of your body, opening up. Let's stay long. Making sure to pull the belly in and push the hips so that one day the pelvis is in front of the knee line. And come on back. Make your way back down to seated. And if it's okay with your body, we'll invert just the right leg. Again, you may need the block. The caveat with the block is when we come to lift it on the left leg, you're going to have to be very, very mindful there. If none of this works for you, release the leg into Ajani Shirshasana. Pull left toes back. Big inhale here. And on the out breath, hinge forward over left leg. Now, keep hugging this right ankle into the right hip and keep pushing into the pinky side of that toe. As we start to work our torso towards the leg, keep pulling the left pinky toe back. Keep the belly pulled in and try to resist leaning to the left so that this right hip stays on the floor. And we'll take another big breath there. Now walk yourself back up, always checking into the right knee. Hinge back as you bend the left knee, and maybe this is the perfect place to stay for Crown Chasana. If you're moving on, we work with breath where we inhale, gauge, is it all good? If it's all good, then on the exhale, we start to straighten the leg, maintaining nice flat back. So integrity of the pose is more important than what the pose looks like. And that's one of our practices in this physical asana practice. The idea of practicing vairagya, letting go. So if you think Crown Chasana has to look like this in every single person, let that go and go into the place that feels best and healthy for your body. That could be a nice bent knee, flat back. All right, from here, let's start to lean a little bit to the left. We'll pay attention to the right hip that it doesn't come up. Hand to the left, and then lean to the left, and maybe you can look underneath your right armpit a little bit. Check into left shoulder. Make sure we're not just collapsing it inward. The torso is twisting to the right, not just the shoulders. Perfect place to stay, or same position, but the left arm comes inside. One more big breath. Now come on back up. Release the left hand if you had it inside. And we drop the left foot onto the top of the right thigh, if that's accessible. And if not, just drop it on the floor. And we'll continue a twist off to the left. So we twist to the left, looking over left shoulder. Maybe the left hand can come around and take hold of that big toe. I'm again working with integrity. So if this is happening where the right hip is way lifted, let's try to push it down a tiny bit as we open up. Now uncircle and release the left leg to the floor. So we'll all meet there, but try to find the right angle from hip to knee, knee to foot. And then same thing on this right side. We'll extend that. Now let the hip lift as much as it wants as we walk off to the left side. And again, you may just want to hang out in Sphinx pose. If you have your block, go ahead and grab it if you're going to do the twist. So the twist looks like this. We needle the right arm under, and you may want to have the block to rest the right shoulder on, or not. So allow the chaos to come into the body and see how you can respond to it by breathing deeply, by realizing that you're in a calm place and that you know with the breath you can bring heart rate down and bring the mind into a settling place. Now here, because this could be looked at as anger, if you will, anything that's upsetting like that, go back to the visualization we had earlier. Maybe you had a flower. Just go inside your mind and see that beautiful picture. Something calm, something beautiful, peaceful, and channel all of this energy in this twist into seeing goodness, into responding with compassion and kindness. Start to unfurl, coming back up, moving off to the right side, shake your legs out, lift up, little boat pose. Just take it up, softness in the breath, knowing that sometimes the things we don't like make us stronger. We don't have to hurt ourselves in it though. Cross the ankles, lift whatever you can. Come back, let's do another boat pose a little bit lower. Come up, cross the ankles, lift whatever you can. Last one, we'll do the pure abdominal use where we lower all the way and just take shoulders up and just take heels off the floor and hover and hold. Now come up, cross your ankles, and this time maybe send them back for a nice vinyasa. You can even take a little break here in your up dog or cobra and stretch the front side. And then either go back up into downward facing dog or just all fours and make your way back down into seated extended legs. And this time we just take a short forward fold, roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, slide the hands on top, taking hold of the tops of the feet. Pull your toes back, hinge forward. Inhale, walk back up just a little. Short Parivrttanasana, stretch the front side, or maybe you're back in your reverse table. And come back up. Hinge off to the right side, find an inverted leg on the left. It may be completely different. So, integrity, pinky toe down, hug ankle in, pull right toes back. Roll the shoulders up, exhale, hinge forward. As you hinge, pay attention to left hip. It kind of wants to lift up, but the idea is to keep ourselves pretty centered on the mat. It'll come up a little bit, and that's okay. Start to make your way back up. And again, it could be bent leg. It could be straight leg. And whichever one it is, it's pertaining to your body for what's good for you on this side, given so many variables, the time of day, how well you slept last night, what you did yesterday if you went hiking. I hope a lot of you guys did. Another big breath here, pulling in belly. Still paying attention to the left pinky toe pushing down. All right, so let's start taking the leg out to the right. We extend the right arm first. Hinge over to the right. If everything's good, we look underneath left armpit. So I catch myself doing this a lot where I draw the right shoulder forward. So what I'm working on, we all should be, is we twist from the torso so that right shoulder stays in line with the left one. And this is a perfect place to hang out. If you want to add the right arm, it comes underneath. It's exactly the same shape. But really pay attention to that right shoulder jetting forward here. All right, coming back. If you had the right arm inside, take it out. If you can, the right heel in lotus position on the left knee, on the left thigh. But if not, no big deal, because you know now where we're going. We're all going to meet down there. So if it's better to just place the foot down there, go for it. Now we walk towards the right, looking over right shoulder. If all is good, maybe reaching around as if to take hold of the big toe. Inhale. Exhale. See if you can encourage left hip down a bit. All right. Same twist. We come back first. And if your foot was up in lotus, let's drop it to the floor. Find right angles. Right angles. Now the left hip comes up as we twist to the right. Maybe coming to Sphinx arms. Oh, it's a beautiful stretch. Block or not under the left shoulder if you're going to try the twist. And wherever you are, go inside again. Find that visual of something beautiful. And this is how the grandfather Gandhi is telling the grandson Gandhi, you can strengthen your mind so that you can learn to channel and respond accordingly. We can't just have knee-jerk reactions to everything that happens. And particularly in this time, they had plenty of reason to be angry. And you might feel that today too. Whatever it is, you have to take that anger and channel into something that works. You can't just go out and be angry without some sort of plan. You have to have a way of moving forward and turning that anger into goodness. By using compassion, by using kindness and love and goodness. Now let's unfurl ourselves. Come back to center. Release your legs long, shake them out again. And this time moving into bridge pose position. So we walk the heels close to the hips, flip the palms so they're facing down beside us. And we start with the bridge flow. Tuck your pelvis first, and then lift the hips. Keep the pelvis tucked all the way up. And start to lower, still tucked at the very bottom. We untuck. And we'll do that 2 more times. Tuck and roll. So it's like a massage on the upper spine. Keep tucked and then lower back down. The very last moment untuck. And 1 more time. Tuck and roll and lift. Tuck and lower down and then untuck. And we'll start to make our way either to the wall for legs up the wall, or if you want to do it right here on your mat, you can just lift the legs up, or maybe take a block, or if you like to use your hands, come up and find a place where you can breathe upside down. 10 deep breaths. So what Mahatma tells Aaron after he is so remorseful that he gets angry so much and he doesn't want to disappoint his grandfather. It's the cutest story. And he tells him to use your anger for good. Anger to people is like gas to the automobile. It fuels you to move forward and get to a better place. Without it, we would not be motivated to rise to a challenge. It is an energy that compels us to define what is just and what is unjust.